Between the Ribs with host Jonathan Morris, fourth-generation farmer. First-hand insight into farming, faith, and family, as only Jonathan can bring. Between the Ribs. Between the Ribs on Florida Man Radio.
Okay, I promised you boxing, but before boxing, did you know that a complaint, and we work in, what's the governing body over us, FCC? FEC?
FCC, yeah.
FCC. So if we do things or say things that violate the rules, lawsuits can be filed.
Yes.
We can get in trouble.
Big trouble.
The station that aired us can get in trouble.
Huge fines.
Licensings, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, NBC had a complaint filed against them for airing obscene content during the Olympic ceremony. Now, the artistic people behind this design said, oh, no, the dude just had a rip in his stockings.
Yeah, I had some people on my Facebook page arguing that that's what it was. And going back to dancing days or gymnastics, the stocking, that might be.
So it made a little bit of sense to you.
Yeah, it did.
But as you and I did our discoveries, if you will,
Right.
and our research, I found one picture that I blew up. The one I showed you, that was a bulge laying on his thigh. That was not a rip.
Okay.
So if you look at the outline of the landscape, if you will, you had a thigh that was covered by stocking, and then you had something outside the thigh, like bigger than the thigh, almost like you had a flat ground, and then there was a rock there, a pebble there, something there. His testicle, clearly, whether it was an accident like the Janet Jackson nip pick during the Super Bowl
Right.
performance, many, and the young people are like, what's he talking about? Janet who? But for the rest of us, Janet Jackson accidentally showed a nip one time.
Right.
It was crazy, the trouble they got in, the TV networks and everything.
And the denials.
And right? But it clearly was a nip pick. It happened. Whether or not it did it on purpose or her
think they
wardrobe
said
malfunctioned, a nip slip.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That was back before D picks and nip picks and P picks and all the picks, wasn't it? But life still was crazy back then.
Yes.
So here's the thing. His testicle hung out of his costume on the stage. Now, on public TV, NBC is still public TV,
Right.
it was live. So there's no way to cut that, clip that, dump that. It aired, correct?
Yep.
So here's my question to everybody that does performing arts. We all know I know because I had a daughter who used to perform at a high school level.
Mm-hmm.
And JJ, my oldest son, actually performed in arts at school, and he also did band and other things. But the time that they go into for their costume and their wardrobe and their makeup and their performance and where they're standing on stage and all the rehearsals and the rehearsals and the rehearsals to get everything perfect. You're telling me on the world's biggest stage, the Olympics, the guy had a costume failure that just happened to coincide with the position of his testicle.
I mean, I honestly do not know, but there's enough people that are upset. There are people that have apologized. There are people that have lawsuits. Like, that leads me to believe that if it was an accident, they should have.
That's a testy. I just found the video, the picture.
They should have. If it was an accident, they should be able to prove it. And nobody's attempted to or anything. They're just kind of like still talking about it.
So here's my thing. I got 2 points on this. Going back to rehearsals and people placement when you're doing theatrical things. And I've never done theater, but because of my children's involvement, I know what they go through.
Right.
I've watched them dry practice and dry run at the house and on stage. He just happened to be the same guy standing behind the 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Just happened to be that guy. If it was an accident, do you think at any point his body language would have demonstrated, oh no, embarrassing
He might
moment?
not have noticed.
Okay, but immediately following the event, as he's walking back to his dressing room, realizing his testicle is laying on the outside of his thigh, do you think he would immediately went to his producer, his director, and they would have pulled the tapes and immediately been like, oh my gosh, we didn't know this happened. There's nothing we can do about it. We're so sorry. I almost think it was done on purpose. Just like the blue guy in his little bitty fruit string that he had on, flower fruit string thing.
What's a fruit string?
Okay. They wanted to expose as much sexual perversion and nudity as possible and see how much they could get away with it. That's my take on it.
Well, and the guy whose testicle might have shown also had a black jacket. So for some of the pictures, you could tell he didn't have a shirt on, but he had this black,
Sachet type jacket thing.
Like shirt type jacket. Yeah, something windbreaker. I don't know. So maybe when he was going back in, he might not have noticed and nobody else would have noticed because he had his windbreaker back on. I don't know.
I call
it's all
harmonious.
very weird.
I call bullcrap. I call slap bullcrap. I know when my testicle was laying on my thigh.
Okay, I don't know what that's like.
Ask Billy.
So,
Bill will tell you.
I'm just going to have to trust you on that one.
Do you want to move along?
Yes.
Do you know what the IBA stands for? And I'm not talking about the International Bar Association for all the lawyers out there.
Okay. International Basketball Association.
How about the International Boxing Association?
Oh, yes.
I'm just going to go over this real quick because I want everybody to understand the complete, blatant fabrication, lie, and the perversion behind the OIC or the IOC, the International Olympic Committee's decision. So what we're talking about is the women's boxing at the Olympics in Paris. Women's boxing. Now, if we rewind to last year, the IBA, the International Boxing Association, who, by the way, they are a worldwide governing body that's been around since 1946. The IBA's mission is to promote, support, and I'm reading off their website. Their mission is to promote, support, develop, and unite the sport worldwide. Here are their objectives real quick. I'm going to make this fast. They promote boxing. They develop boxing. They ensure safety. They maintain standards. And by the way, the IBA also sanctions amateur Olympic-style boxing matches and awards world and subordinate championships. In 2021, the IBA launched a financial support program to develop, support, and strengthen boxing in all areas. One more little tidbit about the IBA. And I'm telling you all this for a reason. This is very important. I want you to have the backstory of the IBA. Yes, ma'am.
So over the entire world, there's this one organization that makes sure that the boxers stay safe and perform correctly?
Yes. And I used to box a long time ago.
Okay.
I boxed amateur. I never went professional. It used to be a slugfest. I'm talking about.
And now they can't do that. They have to actually.
Well, not just that, but we used to box in racquetball courts on the weekends. So you go to a racquetball court, you close the door, and you play racquetball.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
We used to go to places where there wasn't a lot of money behind the fight. So they would find a park on a Saturday night, and they'd sell as many tickets as they could, and there wouldn't be a ring, and it'd be 3 or 4 people deep lined up in the racquetball, and then in the middle would be a square, and there'd be a guy promoting fighters, and normally there'd be 3 or 4 different fights that night.
It's like Fight Club.
Kind of like Fight Club in a racquetball court.
Nice.
And the gloves weren't necessarily standard legal gloves, and there was a lot of blood and a lot of beatings, and the rules weren't all sanctioned, if you will, properly. And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't go on anymore, but there was a lot of people that got really, really hurt. Now,
yeah, I'm sure.
It was free choice. I walked into the racquetball court, and nobody forced me to go in there, and I fought, and we made money, and it was just what happened. Inside of a ring, there were a lot of things that went on, dirty the elbows, dirty blows, different things. Boxing is a combat sport. Yeah. I'm not trying to play a victim here or make people feel sorry for boxers. They choose to put their head in front of other people's fists and try to dodge them. And, well, the art.
I mean, you're right. You're absolutely.
The biggest art of boxing is not getting hit. It's learning how to get hit properly. You slide a punch, right? We don't have a long enough show to talk about boxing. But it's not necessarily about not getting hit. It's about how to absorb energy, slide a punch, and be able to strike back. But the International Boxing Association works on behalf of all levels of boxing, men and women, to reinvigorate the sport's grassroots development, to develop youth and elite boxing, to create new opportunities for semi-pro and professional athletes. The IBA, they've had a few controversies over the years, but just like any sporting event, how many Super Bowls How many football games have there been controversial calls from referees and rule changes?
Oh, every year.
It happens, right?
Yes.
So for the Olympic Committee to try to say something against the IBA, it's just another slap in the face.
It's kind of rude. They're the experts, right?
They are.
It's really rude.
Yes, it's absolutely, it's terrible because, but here's the deal. The IBA does not fit the agenda of today's New World Order. All right, I'm going to try to wrap this up because I know I'll go all the way around. But last year at a world championship match, 2 guys showed up to fight in the women's contest. One from China, one from Algeria. I really can't pronounce their names.
Taiwan and Algeria.
No, he's from China. Tapia, Taipei, Chinese fighter. And then the guy from Algeria, his last name is Khelif. So they showed up to fight last year in a world championship match. During the pre-qualifications of the IBA, they check their testosterone levels, and they actually do a DNA test, okay? Because of everything that's going on in the world now about women,
right.
They get puberty medicine to make them a
well,
testosterone
just because
replacement.
some people could be on steroids and perform a whole lot better. I mean, they do that too.
Right. There's a lot of rules and regulations, not
right.
just weighing in a weight class. But both of these guys, in a DNA test, tested XY.
Okay, so X.
Now, for everybody who does not understand biology,
XY
X is woman.
Man, yeah.
Yes. X is woman. XY is man.
Right.
So if you show up at an IBA sanctioned boxing match and your DNA test says that you're an XY,
Now,
then
could that have been that they just took testosterone? Or no? No, because they're actually testing the
those look
DNA.
like dudes or women to you?
Okay, no, but I was just, I'm trying to figure out how that could even happen.
You can't, there's not enough testosterone in the world to make you a man.
To change my DNA.
It's your
Gotcha.
chromosome. We all have 46 chromosomes. And I'm going to get to that after we get back for the next segment, because some of us have 47 chromosomes, and that still does not make you a man. All right? X is woman, XY is man. So the IBA denied these 2 fighters for fighting with a women's fight. The IOC has now come out and said, and that obviously this is past news because it's already happening, that due to, well, we'll get to this when we get back from the break.
Okay.
I'm going somewhere with it.
We're going to get deep.
Between the Ribs with Jonathan Morris, stick around. We may knock you out.
Let's go, girls.